Enamorus is a very strange Pokemon. On one hand, it's an extremely strong fairy flying type with insane offenses and speed, and it gets the contrary ability. And then there's the Therian form, which not only looks far more ridiculous, but also is far less popular competitively because while it does get more defense, it loses all of its speed. But I am gonna make it fast anyways. This form only gets access to the Overcoat ability, which is actually not that bad because it does get an immunity to powder moves. We're gonna use agility to double our speed stat, and with a timid nature and max EVs, we actually become faster than nearly everything, which is crazy. With our solid natural bulk that the regular form lacks, we can live a super effective hit, which activates a weakness policy, doubling our offenses. We can now outrun unsuspecting threats and hit them super hard with Stab Moonblast. Throw in some coverage with Earth Power along with Mystical Fire, and this thing actually goes kind of crazy. Sometimes you just gotta surprise some people and make the Cloud Turtle thing fast. Enamorus has gotta be one of the weirder new Pokemon, and this soft shell turtle version is just even more weird. But luckily for this thing, that's what we're into around here, and we're also gonna use it in a way that it's probably not designed to be used, but it's pretty fun. Now, if you're into that kind of thing, you should probably hit that subscribe button. I'm on my way to 400k. I'd love to have you as part of the journey, and with that, let's go ahead and jump into the match. Alright, so my opponent is, first of all, dripped the hell out, but second of all, gonna lead off with the Swampert, as I have myself a Mamoswine, and that's not, the greatest matchup. However, we're here for the same thing. We're both gonna try to set up Stealth Rock, at least that's what I imagine they're gonna want to go for. I realize, I'm Focus Sash. If they do want to just Waterfall or Flip Turn, that's kind of fine. I get my rocks up, and that's what they're gonna do as well. So I'm not necessarily concerned about the rocks here, as this kind of opens the door for an interesting play on my end. So I have this little sushi fella who is in fact Storm Drain. So I'm expecting them fully to go for either Waterfall, a Flip Turn, something like that. I can then get a Storm Drain, and then also I'm a Rapid Spinner. After a little special attack boost, I can boost speed and have a fun little sushi time. But instead, they actually go for the Earthquake, and that's, they probably expected that switch. It does well over half to me. And at this point, my best option is to try to just get some type of value out of this. So I decided to go for the Draco Meteor. I want to just get some chip on the Swampert. I don't have any grass coverage on this team, so that's good to at least grab some damage. Now, they do finish me off with a nice little Avalanche, and look, when there's a dead fish, there's also opportunity. I find myself in a spot where now I really would love if I could bait them into doing that to freaking Enamorus here. So it's time. We're going to bring in the buddy early, because looking at the matchup, if I can get this thing's weakness policy off along with that agility, we're actually in a pretty damn good spot for a crazy snake turtle. So I come in, I'm swimming in the air with my weird little feet, and I'm going to go for that agility. It turns out I am going to be faster right off the rip because I'm just plus speed, max speed, and now after the agility, your boy's looking real quick. So they do actually go for that Avalanche. Luckily, considering I did not touch them first, it is not going to be double damage. It is then going to activate my weakness policy, and boom, just like that. The Love Doctor is in business, baby. I still don't really know what the hell this thing's deal is, but I kind of like it. He's got a cool little cloudy tail, and at this point, with that doubled special attack, now we just have very hard-hitting Stab Moonblasts, and that's exactly what we're going to go for. So they don't really have much that wants to switch into this. Swampert is going to get absolutely bopped by the moon, and that's gonna take care of it. So now they've found themselves in a position against a lady that's not supposed to be fast, but is now fast, and we get the added extra bulk there. So as they decide to bring in the Hisuian Arcanine, I'm imagining they're probably, if they're Choice Scarf, they're going to outspeed me. If it's Choice Band, like a lot of these things are, if I'm them, I probably click Extreme Speed. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and commit the Terra Steel. I'm really kind of banking on that Extreme Speed play, and if that's what they're going to want to go for, I'm pretty bulky, plus then I can resist it and still have enough health to, still be relatively alive. So that is the plan. I put the axe on my head. They do go for the Extreme Speed, which we take unbelievably well, and then I can fire off the coverage with that Earth Power, and yeah, the thing is going to get absolutely destroyed. Didn't even probably need the weakness policy, but now it was kind of their main answer to this thing, and that feels actually pretty good. Now, they're going to go into Corviknight thinking, okay, I've seen, Moonblast, Earth Power, surely there's nothing this thing has that it can just knock me out. I'm a big metal bird. But luckily for us, we do in fact have the Mystical Fire, and after a weakness policy boost, that is enough to take care of the Corviknight, which is great because I find myself in situations against Corviknight, if I don't have the weakness policy, then of course you drop the special attack, and then their mirror armor gives it to me. But it's nice, it's all fun and games when you knock him out in one hit. So At this point now they go into the Overquill. This thing does have priority with the Aqua Jet, but we bulky out here. We live it with 16, which is just hilarious. And then in Earth Power just does the trick. So down goes one spiky boy, and yeah, Enamorus has definitely, you know, kind of busted the team wide open pause. But as now they're gonna bring in Gardevoir here, so check this out. This thing comes in, and the only way it can outspeed me is if it's gonna be Scarf. And I'm like, okay, this is fine. I probably grab a kill here. It turns out they are gonna be Scarf. And as they go for that T-Bolt, they more than likely probably just didn't expect to have enough damage earlier, or they just didn't know if they were going to outspeed. Probably just bamboozled as hell by this weird turtle. I guess I'm a turtle? I don't know. But regardless, that is going to take care of me. So they do find the answer. And at this point, they've got 2 Mons left. So they've got the Gardevoir along with a Hisuian Zoroark in the back. And guess the first time anybody's ever said this, it looks like Berserker is going to be pretty nice here. So I bring this thing in because I can take any attack. I know that they're scarfed, you know, into a Thunderbolt here. I can freely go for that Gyro Ball, and this is a fella that's built around being real slow. I'm carrying Iron Ball, which just makes me slower, which then boosts the power of Gyro Ball. I also have Steely Spirit, which gives me increased damage on steel moves. And I can roll my gold little ass into a bowling ball, and that is going to take care of the Zoroark. So luckily no Sash because of that the Stealth Rock. At this point, Final Mon going to be that Gardevoir, showing a little bit of leg, a little risque out here. But yeah, they don't have much that can knock me out, and I do just have answers in the back, so they're gonna go ahead and head out. So that's gonna be the end of that one. Opponent learned the hard way that this Enamorus can actually be fast. Now, fun fact about this Enamorus, it with fully invested in speed, after an agility, it's 1 point faster than a Dragapult, which is just not something you'd expect, and pretty fun. So, in our next match here, we do have a homie with the Dragapult, important to note, but also a pretty scary team, and it's another good game here, so let's jump into it. Alright, so first of all, jump scare. The opponent has 2 guys. It's like a 2v1 out here, which just seems unfair. My game seems to be broken in some of the graphics sometimes. I don't know what the hell that's all about. But as they lead Dragapult, I've got myself a Mamoswine, of course. And I'm like, hey, this is fine. They probably just switch out. But nope, they actually are going to go for the Flamethrower. And while I am thick fat, you boys tubby out here, I do take like about half from that, which is kind of unfortunate. Now, I'm not necessarily worried because I get my rocks up and then I do have the priority with the Ice Shard. Fully expecting to die from this next Flamethrower. I'm like, this is fine. I can get some huge damage here, make this thing a lot easier to deal with. But it lives, and then I actually live the Flamethrower. So I'm just all sorts of confused, and I'm also all sorts of confused that you haven't hit that like button yet. So, you know, go ahead and do that for me. So here's the thing. I consider going for something like an Icicle Crash or an Earthquake, expecting the switch. They can save the Dragapult for Death Fodder later. But then I also realize it's most likely that it's just going to be this damn washing machine that comes in. So for a little middle ground play, I just go for that Ice Shard once again. I get a little bit of chip on the Rotom, but, you know, it's not going to do a whole lot. And also, why is this washing machine an 1.5 inches tall over there? The thing is extremely tiny, but, you know, that's weird. So here's the thing. Once again, I find myself in a position where I can try to bring in the Tatsugiri, baiting in the water move. It's especially good with Rotom versus Mamoswine on this team, just because, you know, it's like they're not going to go for the electric coverage. So basically the only thing it's going to do is go for a Hydro Pump, which it does, and then I just Storm Drain that shit. And now, guess what, buddy? You've got yourself some watered down sushi, which, you know, isn't really that great all the time. But it's good for me because I got myself a nice little special attack boost. And now I'm looking at it like, yo, Tatsugiri can actually kind of go crazy. I want to grab myself a Rapid Spin, not to get rid of hazards, but mostly just for that speed boost, because at +1, then I'll be faster than stuff, and I can hit real hard. So they actually end up going for the Protect, which is, you know, I guess fine. Just use Protection, which doesn't really do anything other than it scouts the Rapid Spin, also gives them Eternal Leftovers. But now I'm looking at it like, okay, I could actually, you know, I'm faster than a lot of their team, so I decide, you know, Dragapult can't come back in on Stealth Rock. So I'm actually just going to go ahead, set up a nasty plot here, get some more special attack boost. Now we're sitting at +3, and that's exactly what this thing needs, because to be able to, you know, drop Draco Meteors and stuff, I'm going to be losing special attack. So moral of the story, I'm just a little yellow guy here who's here to hit hard. So as they Volt Switch, they decide to bring in the Umbreon. Now this is, of course, the special walliest wall you've ever damn seen. And after some leftovers, you know, basically at full health. So I'm like, okay, I've taken a bit of chip here. I also know one thing for sure is that Umbreon probably can't touch me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just go for another nasty plot and try to bring myself to a point where I can just drop one singular Draco and, you know, take care of Umbreon. Now my team does deal with this actually relatively well. I have Hariyama in the back. I got the Enamorus, but in general I'm like, you know, Tatsugiri kind of going burr right now, so we're just gonna Trying to see what we can do here. So they're going to end up going for the Toxic. Now that's actually good because that means it's not going to be a curse set with any physical. So I'm like, okay, I can definitely take a foul play if that's what its damage is going to be. And I'm like, well, I might as well go for a Draco Meteor. The Toxic is going to put me on a bit of a timer. Luckily for us, however, after all the boosts, the Draco Meteor actually does take care of it. Honestly, people sleep on Tatsugiri as well. He doesn't even need his whale friend. This thing is kind of crazy. It's like a dragon that rapid spins, so he's fun. So, taking care of Umbreon is actually great. Now, the two-person duo over there decides to now bring in the Tinkaton, which is definitely the roadblock in the situation of trying to get, Tatsugiri to sweep. So, they actually end up going for the Fake Out here. It does do minimal chip, but most importantly, it's going to stall out another turn of Toxic. Luckily, however, I do leave it with 18, so it's not quite stacked up to kill me yet, but now I basically know that I've got one turn left in me, and I might as well just fire off a little Surf, get as much chip as I can, and still being pretty boosted up. That's a very specially defensive hammer. It does do a nice little chunk of damage, and as they finish me off with the knockoff, is going to knock me out of my damn heavy-duty boots, which is kind of rude. Now I'm not even flexing in my Tims anymore, but with dead Tatsugiri, I now have an option to switch into whatever I like. So, Enamorus looks like I have potential to try to set that thing up later. Now the hard part about Enamorus is find myself in a spot where I can activate a weakness policy and have enough damage to kill stuff. So I decide first to actually go into Berserker here. I once again am one gold fella, and I am still afraid of the weird monstrosity that's on the other side there. So I go for the Swords Dance here, thinking, I can kind of freely set up on Tinkaton, and even though Rotom Wash is a bit of a problem, I'm mostly worried about potential for a Will-O-Wisp. Now the thing about this Berserker is, it doesn't provide me a whole lot of value in this matchup, really. I'm like, I might as well just try to see what I can get this thing to do, because most of the time it's just too slow to stay alive for too long, but I can go for the knockoff. Now, they decide to go for the T-Wave, which actually is great because that means it's probably not going to be Will-O-Wisp. And the knockoff after a Swords Dance is going to do a nice little chunk to the thing, but also get rid of those leftovers. And now guess what, buddy? Your apple is on the ground. How do you like me now? So that's actually, it's interesting because the Thunder Wave wouldn't have been bad. It would actually made me even slower, and then my Gyro Balls just do more damage, but it obviously missed. And now, as they go for the Volt Switch, it's going to do a big old chunk of damage, and they're going to take this opportunity to try to get some momentum back on their side. Now, one way they can do that is to go ahead, pivot into the Dragapult, who just dies to the Stealth Rock and makes me look like an idiot for play rough in the air, but now they can decide to match up on whatever they want to bring in. So, as they decide to go into the Toxtricity here, I kind of am in a spot where, I don't have enough health to take any special attack whatsoever, so I'm going to let it happen. Berserker's like, that's fine. I get overdrived on, and that is going to kill me. So, Viking Kitty out of the way. However, now I'm in a position where Enamorus, which is an unlikely fella to switch into a poison type, actually has a position here where I should be able to get up in agility. Now, they are down to 4 mons left, and they've all taken pretty considerable chip at least, so I'm thinking what I can do is go for that Steel Terra, get rid of my weakness to both of those attacks, either poison or the electric. So, I mean, this thing's kind of my arch nemesis, but I have one trump card, which is a freaking big old Steel Axe, which I put on my head. So, making myself Steel type, they're going to go for that Overdrive. Luckily for us, we are especially bulky as hell. I'm able to live and then knock out a nice little agility. So we are the fastest turtle on this damn side of the Mississippi, so I can now outspeed. I also have the coverage with the Earth Power that is definitely going to be able to take care of this thing without any weakness policy. And now I've got myself in a spot where I feel pretty confident even without any special attack boost. I should still be pretty good here. So they're going to bring in the Sarilite. Now this thing has the best ability to take an attack, but after Stealth Rock, an Earth Power does just kill this thing. So they realize they should probably actually have not done that, and then they switch this thing out. As they go for the Earth Power, they're just going to end up going right back into the Rotom, and here's exactly why that knockoff chip with that Berserker was actually great, because after the Stealth Rock, obviously I Earth Power the thing, he's freaking floating above it, but it has enough chip on it to the point where I can definitely just knock it out with a Moonblast, and that is why agility is extremely clutch. This thing just becomes very fast. So I was actually honestly hoping to be able to show off the outspeed, the plus speed, and just max speed Dragapult. Not quite going to happen, but we still got some mons ahead of us, and I honestly trying to pull out the late game sweep with the Enamorus. So they decide to go into the Tinkaton here. First of all, they can go for the Fake Out, which we do get the benefit of the resist from the Steel Terror, which is great. Just basically going to make us flinch for no reason, but obviously I have that Earth Power. I can outspeed, and it just destroyed the hammer. So down goes the Tinkaton. And the turtle is just out here making a damn name for itself, which is hilarious. So, their final mon is going to end up being the Cerulet. So, old Sword Hands comes in here. Now, this thing does have an option for priority with a Shadow Sneak, and I'm thinking that's probably what they're going to try to want to bust out here. Kind of a last-ditch effort. They do have the Shadow Sneak, but we are too damn bulky. We are able to live, which is amazing. It's going to reveal its even Life Orb, which is clutch. And then another Earth Power just finishes it off. So, our Turtle Snake Cloud fella has shown once again that this thing is not to be messed with. And I thought that was just an interesting match. Didn't need to get the weakness policy going, but sometimes, you know, you just need to be unexpectedly fast. And, that's going to do it. Thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate all the support, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace out.